You're listening to
They're gonna call it a hard foul. They're gonna call it a hard foul.
Jason Tatum hit a buzzer beater to beat the Pelicans the other day.
But that's not the story.
No, the South's got a pretty tough stretch, including the Cavs, the Mavs, and the Knicks. But that's
The
not the
new
story.
Dallas Mavericks.
The new Dallas Mavericks, which is an interesting thing. Last night I wanted to text you, but I thought it was too late at 12:30. And I thought for sure it was a fake account. Shams announced that Luka Doncic is going to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Christie, and a 2029 first round pick. It just didn't seem real because it didn't make sense then. It doesn't make sense now. I'll give it to you for your opening thoughts, but this, from a basketball perspective, if you're the Mavericks fan, you probably want to burn down your city right now because this makes no sense.
I woke up around 7 in the morning, maybe 7:30, I forget, and I probably went to bed around 11 last night, so I missed everything, but I saw on my X account that Brian Windhorst was talking about the Luka trade, and I was like, oh, somebody made an AI video with Brian Windhorst. This is going to be funny. And I looked at it, and I was like, wait, is this real? And then I saw like a Shams thing, and I was like, this isn't happening. So I got off X, and I Googled it, and I was just like, what is going on? What?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so they got Anthony Davis, and I was like, so they must have, and I was like, the Lakers don't have draft picks, so they get like a bunch of like 2030 draft picks or something. No, they didn't. They got one draft pick. And so
And they didn't even get both of the Lakers draft picks. Like, did he even ask for the second one? The Lakers had two picks. They just gave
What's
the
the other pick?
2029. I think it's like 2027.
Oh, okay, yeah. 'Cause for some reason I thought 2029 was like the closest one. But yeah, it's I'm stunned. I think it's a horrible trade for the Mavericks and an unbelievably good trade for the future of the LA Lakers. Like, you have an MVP candidate probably for the next 10 years. And Luka got screwed financially. Like, screwed. He's losing so much money. And he dragged that, I think it's $115 million in total he can't get now. And he dragged like that team to the NBA Finals last year. Like, that was really, I mean, Kyrie played well, but what he did against Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals, like, man, there's no basketball reason for this trade. It's clearly financial, which I'll let you get into. I did see Bobby Manning, I think it was, sent out a tweet that now the Mavericks are $890,000. Bobby Marks. Yeah. So like, thank God for that, for the ownership in Dallas. You're under the luxury tax now, so happy for you guys. One thing I will say, Jim, is just like the trade deadline there's still time. Why wouldn't, like, if you were gonna move him for financial reasons, why wouldn't you shop him around? You probably could have got way more. Like, what if OKC wanted him? What if San Antonio wanted him? And they got all these draft picks. Like, why did you just do it this way? It doesn't make any sense. Like, it's bizarre to me, and I'm not buying into the storyline of like he's out of shape. As far as I know, this is the first season where I think he's missed a significant amount of time. Like, to me, he's always played. He's always been an MVP candidate. He's always been available in the playoffs and put up big numbers. So it's not like they're trading Zion Williamson. There's no basketball reason for this. And even like if you were to overreact, and I don't think this is what happened, but you were like, oh, we can't beat the Celtics with the...
No, that's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
Like, this whole thing.
I want to make the point that like what the Celtics have under the new CBA isn't regular. Like, that we're not going to see super teams. Luka alone with a bunch of guys can win a championship. That might happen for the Lakers now over the next 10 years. Like, the Lakers made a slam dunk trade. This is like,
Mike, this is just absurd. There's
It
no other way.
is.
There's no other way to put this. This is absurd. Like,
I mean, if
let's
you're the
let's
Lakers, obviously you don't say no.
no. I don't know any team in the league that would say no. Let's stipulate on like certain facts for this conversation. Luca is a top 5 talent in the league. He is
Yes.
the only guy under 30 in the league to have 4 All NBA first team All NBA selections. He was the
Unbelievable.
perennial favorite to be MVP this year before he got hurt. He
Mm.
led his team, first player ever to lead his team in points, rebounds, and assists throughout the playoffs. I lead the league, you know, in points, rebounds, and assists in the playoffs last year. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Like he is the type of guy where you maybe have a group of 4 or 5 guys in this league that you think it's untouchable. And he hasn't even signed. He hasn't even signed his first Supermax extension. That's due eligible this summer. I will also stipulate that he's not a good defender. I will stipulate that he is out of shape way too often. I think he was up to close to 270 pounds going into the season this year. He usually plays about 250. So that's not good. Fine. I'll stipulate those things. But to trade him in the middle of the night to the Lakers for an aging all-star power forward, which is what Anthony Davis is now with an injury history, that's pretty significant. And all you get back is Max Christie, who I like. He's a good player, has been really good for the Lakers, young, on a cost-control contract, and 1 first-round pick. Like, what is that about? That tells me you did not trade him for basketball reasons.
No, you gave up more for Kyrie Irving. The Nets got more for Kyrie Irving than you got for Luka Doncic.
You got Rudy Gobert got more for the Jazz
Yeah.
than what you got in this deal. Like this does not make any sense. And people really need it. So I've seen a lot of conversations on this. I've seen a lot of things take place. For whatever reason, the new ownership group has not been brought up at all. Like,
Which is
so,
weird.
and I don't think this was solely to get under the luxury tax. I think what the management was probably told, if you can do this and get under the luxury tax this year, that should be a priority than the talent you get coming in. And so I think you have a general manager, Nico Harrison, and this is stuff I just found out. It's not like I had this background. He was a player rep for Nike before he was general manager. He was Anthony Davis's players rep, so you have that relationship there. I think he knew Anthony Davis would waive his trade kicker that would get them under the number. I think he figures Anthony Davis is someone that he could sell a little bit, that they might even make the Mavericks better for this season. You can make some argument there. But on the whole, this is just a disaster trade for the Mavericks. It makes no sense from a basketball standpoint. It makes no sense from a marketing standpoint. These Supermax contracts, if you do the economics on it and compare it to the player on the court, they always benefit the team. Always. There really hasn't been an instance where they haven't benefited the team. There's been no indication that Luka would not sign his Supermax anywhere. In fact, the reports out right now is that he was completely caught off guard by this.
Yeah.
Like this does not make any sense at all. And we could talk about what it means for the teams on the court this year, but I feel like that's a separate conversation that really isn't all that interesting compared to what happened last night. And I think you need to start with if there was an ownership directive here. And I feel badly right now that I feel like there's going to be this campaign coming from the Mavericks on the type of person Luka was. I think you're going to see him referred to in different ways as just to paint a picture of him as an asshole, as lazy, as someone who didn't care. And it almost reminds me of, the Mookie Betts was never going to sign with the Red Sox type thing.
Yep.
That we're going to see. But this would happen quickly, to maybe avoid some of that. You would think if you were going to trade Luka, you wait until the summer and you start a bidding war. You find 4 or 5 teams that he would
You
go
would think.
to.
Obviously, that's what you would do. That's the only thing to do. What they did is the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do, and they just this was the dumbest trade maybe in the history of the NBA. This might go this is basketball wise, this is probably one of the worst trades of my lifetime. And he's going to go to LA, and maybe that organization is what he needs. Maybe he'll get in better shape, but
LeBron's certainly a good like template for that, and working and seeing how he treats his
I mean,
body.
LA has a good history of getting guys and bringing them into their franchise and them playing really well. So, this is
Like
the
if you're
Lakers.
in
It's unbelievable how much luck the Lakers have when it comes to this shit.
If you're another team, this feels like this was basically Nico Harrison's past relationship with Pelinka and past relationship with Anthony Davis that made this happen. How pissed are you today, though? That felt like you wouldn't even have a chance to bid on Luka Doncic. Like this thing just happened in the middle of the night, and there's no real explanation for it. And the Mavericks, at least on the court, have set themselves back for the next 10 years. Like they don't even get building blocks to start like rebuilding this thing. Yeah,
I mean,
Anthony
David Stern stepped in before with the Chris Paul trade to LA. Maybe that's what needs to happen.
Anthony
Like,
Davis
this
is
is
going to be
just
32 in March. He's going to be
yeah,
32 in March. Kyrie
yeah.
Irving is what 33, 34. Like it's a mind blowing situation for me. Um, I think if we want to tie it to the Celtics, Mike, I think what Celtics fans really need to take a look at.
Is who the hell's going to buy the team?
Yeah,
And this is the type of stuff you have to worry about.
it sure is.
Yep.
It sure is. So if you get someone, I think a lot of people were early on mentioning the Win, because the Everett Casino, and all of a sudden, maybe they build arena there for the Celtics. Well, if anyone builds an arena for this that's going to be attached to the casino, it's an accommodation for the casino. It's not just going to be for the Celtics. It's going to be to have concerts and events and all those other things. The Celtics are almost like a side piece. And so they're not the means to an end. I mean, the end, they're the means to the end, and they're not the end portion. And that's exactly what you had in Dallas right now. Um, you had the owners of MGM, the Sands, Las Vegas Sands Group, Miriam Adelson, come in and buy the Mavericks. They're looking to build a casino in Dallas. They're looking to have an arena attached to the casino. The Dallas Mavericks are basically an ornament on a tree for them. So they're a good place to cut costs as they try to build out and create this other feature. And, do they really want Supermax players on their team? Do they really want to pay guys like Luka Doncic that type of
No,
money?
we just learned that they don't.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They'd rather be bad, which is what they're going to be when Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving are done. They're going to be really bad. I mean, I can't believe how bad of a franchise the Dallas Mavericks are. I mean, you get nothing for Kristaps Porzingis, you get nothing for Jalen Brunson, and you get nothing for Luka Doncic. If we're going to be honest about what Luka's worth, you didn't get nothing. Like, you got a really good player for this year. That's it. It's man, Jimmy. And
I
like
think
you
if, I
brought
think
you
if the
brought up the
Lake,
Celtics point, like this is what can happen here. Like this
yes, it
should
could.
scare us a little bit as fans.
If you don't think Jason Tatum could get traded because he's on a supermax and this is just a kind of a mark on their portfolio, then you're not seeing the forest from the trees, on what could potentially happen with new ownership, depending on who it is.
Can you imagine? Oh,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, if you were a Celtics, to put this in perspective for Celtics fans, how would you feel today if the Celtics traded Jason Tatum for Anthony Davis and a future first round pick?
can you imagine?
Oh, it would be, they would burn the city down. I think fans would honestly burn the city down.
I mean, I would quit the podcast.
It- that's how bad of a trade. And and if you go around the league and you ask teams who they'd rather have, I think the vast majority will tell you Luka. So like, this is just insane. It's insane on every level. And it makes no basketball sense. People that try to make basketball sense out of this aren't doing their job. Reporters that don't at least ask
Well,
about the ownership group
I mean,
aren't doing
fans
their
in
job.
Dallas, you gotta like give them some grace. Like fans in Dallas, they got a
Of
team that's
course.
still gotta watch. But man, whew.
Yeah.
And like, there's also the possibility here that building a team around Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving are gonna blow up in your face quicker than you think.
Well,
That's just, you know what I mean? It's like you don't know what those two are gonna be like if they're gonna really want to put in the effort. No, I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, things go not so great in a month or so. Are they even playing hard anymore? They asking to be traded. Like,
Is Kyrie even playing?
yeah, so Kyrie has a player option coming up. Is he going to ask for the max now? He certainly has leverage to do that. He has a
Yep.
player option coming up this year. Anthony Davis's player option is right on the horizon as well, from what I understand. So
Maybe
are
that's what
they?
they want. Maybe they, that's what Dallas wants. They want these guys to opt out so they can be the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah. So actually, Anthony Davis is locked up for the next couple of years. But yeah, I don't know what they want. I don't know what they want, but that's what ownership should be asking. I mean, that's what reporters should be asking. What's really going on here? What's the long-term goal? Because when Nico Harrison, the general manager, comes out afterwards and starts talking about how this makes them a better defensive team and defense wins championship, and this makes us better in the short term and the long term, that's all bullshit. It does
How's it make it
nothing
better
for
in the
you.
long term?
Does nothing. And for the short term, that's arguable. This guy just led you to the NBA championship last year. Do you
Yeah,
think
is he saying that? Is like
Yeah.
Luca? How long's Luca out for? When's he coming back?
At some point this year? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the timeline there.
Yeah, that's what I was. I mean, I was like, how serious is that injury? But obviously, the Lakers did their homework. They wouldn't, it's the Lakers.
How much homework do you have to do?
As far as
Look, like, how
like,
much homework do you have to do? Like,
I mean,
okay,
you gotta make sure the guy can play.
yeah. So,
That he's not.
if even if he can't play this year, who cares?
Yeah, I guess. Well,
You,
not
you,
this year. I
you,
mean, in general, like this is an injury that's not going to linger, and
well,
he has 270 pounds.
it's calf strain. So if he gets in shape, he'll be fine. Like, but that's the key to him. But like,
Maybe this is the motivator he needs to get in shape.
there's no homework to be done here for Luca.
Yeah.
Unless it is like structural damage. Like
Well, that's what I meant. Like
you know his flaws. He's out of shape. He doesn't play defense well, but you know the upside on this. Like there's no homework.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. It's really one of those jaw dropping.
Well, I mean, if
things.
somebody was calling me on the phone, Jimmy, and just giving me Luka Doncic for nothing, I'd be doing my homework to make sure there's no structural damage, because it doesn't make any sense.
You got to do a physical.
It's like me. It's like
you
me
do a
just saying,
physical
hey,
anyways.
Miami, why don't you?
No, it's not like that.
Why don't you give me
do
Bam Adebayo in a second round pick, and I'm going to just hand you Jason Tatum?
But it's not, because you do a physical. So you no trade goes through without a player physical anyways. So like, it's not really even like that.
Yeah.
So, it's just none of it. It's just insane.
I'd be asking. I'd be investigating. Is he doing drugs? Is he being investigated for something? Has he committed crimes? I'd be doing some sort of investigation, because the shit just doesn't make sense. Like, why are you handing me maybe the best player in the NBA for nothing? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
I know, but it's
and the
like,
fucking Lakers just get handed Luka Doncic. Of course they did. Of course the LA Lakers just got handed this player to save their franchise for the next decade.
Well, it's like they said on the Bill Simmons podcast, and I forget who said it, but someone said, Luka could be walking up the court with smoking a pack of butts in between every possession, and I'm still racing out to give him the supermax.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, the Lakers getting gifted this player is a ridiculous thing. The whole thing's ridiculous. Like, I can't even get my brain to that part, because I can't get over what the Mavericks just did. I just can't get over what the Mavericks just did.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you want to touch on what this means for the teams on the court this year? As if that even matters.
Yeah, I mean, I think it matters for this season. If the Lakers can make one more trade just to bring in a real center and Luka's healthy, why aren't they in the discussion to make it to the NBA Finals? They absolutely are when you have LeBron James and Luka Doncic on the same court, right? Like,
Yeah, they're not close to good enough.
I don't know. You said that about Dallas last year with Luka and Kyrie Irving, and we saw what Luka did in the playoffs. Now he's got LeBron James playing with him.
Yeah,
And there wasn't a great cast of players in Dallas surrounding these guys.
yeah.
As we saw when they matched up with the Celtics, they weren't very good. So you bring in a serviceable big man, which isn't hard to do in the NBA. It's not like they're trading for a wing. I think that they could. I think they could make noise in the West. You're talking about two of the top 10 players in the NBA in the same franchise. One of them a perennial MVP candidate. You get in the playoffs with that. I think that could be a real reality. You know?
I guess I don't really see them as a top team in the West. I think there's a lot of really good teams in the West. I certainly don't see them at OKC's level. Um, they don't have a center right now, and they're not going to bring in a good defensive center. I don't think. Maybe someone gives them that too, but those are hard to come by. They don't have any wing defenders. LeBron can do it sometimes, but can't do it consistently. I think
Neither did Dallas.
I think Reeves is a one-way player, and I wonder if he gets traded before the deadline now because he becomes redundant with Luka and really becomes almost useless because he's a guy that needs the ball in his hand, and that doesn't really happen anymore. I think LeBron and Luka absolutely fit together, but I don't think this is a championship team. I think the same flaws that hurt Dallas that got them to the finals, but they had no shot at winning in the finals. Um, are even more amplified with this team because I don't think they have the defensive talent surrounding them that at least Dallas had last year. Not even close to that right now. Um, I, but it's still a no-brainer move for them. Like they won the trade. It's no-brainer, and they'll be in the playoffs and they'll be okay. But I don't think they're a championship team. But that's just my thought. As
Yeah,
far as Dallas,
I wouldn't count them out from making it. I wouldn't. Not with those two. I just wouldn't. As far as Dallas goes, I'll be interested to see. I mean, they have a ton of size now. That's going to give people problems. That'll probably give the Celtics problems in a few days.
yeah,
They
they match
certainly,
up better against the Celtics now.
yeah, they
which
match
is
up
weird.
better against Christoph Porzingis.
Yeah.
Certainly with Anthony Davis. I just don't know if these guys are going to be available in the playoffs. We'll see. But I think on paper, they're still a good team. I do think they were better if Luca was healthy. To have Luca, not Anthony Davis, but I
Oh
mean
yeah.
they're a well-rounded team. They could make some noise in the playoffs. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, defensively they should be really, really good. I mean, you're talking. I don't know if Lively's even playing this year, but Gafford and Davis at the rim.
Mhm.
Kyrie can just kind of guard anyone now and overplay them because
Yeah.
if you send them to the rim, it's fine. So you try to force them to take tough jump shots.
Yeah.
They
Clay
should be
Thompson can't really defend anymore though.
no, but you get to those guys you can hide a lot now when
Mhm.
you have defense behind them like that. The Lakers were able to hide a lot because of what Anthony Davis gave them defensively. And they weren't great defensively at all, but they were
Yeah.
adequate just because of him. I mean, he is stellar defensively. He might be the best in the league. Him or Wemby, right? Wemby's probably one, he's probably two. So I I think it makes them really tough to score on. They could be a tough out in the playoffs. Their problem is that they only have one shot creator on the entire team, and that's Kyrie. I don't think they have another one at all. Another one that at least you can count on for the playoffs. So,
Yeah, that pick and
you
roll
know,
game between and pick and pop with Irving and Davis could be deadly though.
yes,
Yeah. Who knows? You see teams get hot. I do see them. Yeah, I see that. The West is interesting. I can't believe this trade went through, Jim. I don't even know. I'm kind of speechless about the whole thing that Luca got traded for nothing. It's like
Yeah, it's stunning. It's the whole thing is absolutely stunning, and we'll get to see these new Mavs here in Boston in just a few days, and I'm sure Kyrie and Anthony Davis will give you a great effort in that game. What they
Oh
look
yeah.
like in 2 months is always going to be the question.
Yeah,
Um,
Danny Ainge is probably crying into his cereal. He always wanted these two.
well, the irony is the Utah was the third team in on the trade, so he finally brought AD and Kyrie
Got
together.
it together. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Um, I don't know, Mike. So I'm almost exhausted, but I guess we should touch on the Celtics quickly
Now I just
before we
wanted this
close
pod to
there.
be about the buzzer beater, and like it's not. Like he texted me and he's like, who does that remind you of?" And obviously that was a Paul Pierce shot. That was a Paul Pierce buzzer beater that he
Yeah,
did. And
from the
then,
opposite corner. Paul Pierce
yeah,
usually went right. He went left,
did
because of
you
the
see
double
the
team.
cameraman was like the camera guy in the stadium was ready for him? There's a guy
I
with like a
think,
camera phone and like he went right up to it. It was like so cool.
yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
His face afterwards, and it almost looked like a commercial. Um, yeah, he that was a big time shot. He's been awesome
Brown's
in the.
Brown shot was big time too to
It
tie it.
was. It
Yeah.
was. Caden's been awesome in the clutch for, all season. He's been one of the best players in the clutch over the last 5 years. Um,
Apparently since 2020. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he's been really good in these situations. So that's fun. I thought it was another game where the
Yeah.
Celtics were disinterested for the most
Big
part.
time. Yeah, they were.
They didn't play any defense. And you had another guy because they I don't think were locked in, got exceptionally hot. And
Yeah,
Trey
that guy,
Murray,
Trey Murphy.
Trey
Trey
Murphy,
Murphy,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And the officiating all contributed to what was, a game that was super close against an extremely inferior team. I guess the upside is they made plays down the stretch um, to win it, although, they also try to kick it away with missed free throws and things like that. So,
Well, at least the game was
uh,
entertaining.
yeah,
And they got another, I think what's going to be another entertaining game tomorrow. I don't know if you've been watching
they have a
Philly.
game tonight.
Tonight. Sorry, yeah, it's tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been watching Philly. Nick Nurse is like, they kind of changed the way they play. They're kind of a run and gun and don't defend much team now. And I
It's
feel like
working.
tonight could be a very, very entertaining, if high scoring affair.
Yeah,
You know,
they're playing based off of the best player, which is Tyrese Maxey, which is just up and down, and he's fantastic. He was definitely an all-star snub. He's just a dynamite player. And this is another game where you look at it and you wonder how seriously the Celtics are going to take it. There's no Embiid, there's no Paul George. It's Sunday at 6. Like you just, I don't know what type of effort you're going to get from the Celtics tonight. Whereas I'm
and
pretty
it's
positive I know what's going to happen on Tuesday against the Cavs.
yeah. I hope they show up to play because I think you got an opportunity here to just really go after Yabusele with KP on the post a lot tonight and just kind of dominate that matchup. But
Well, they should dominate this
yeah,
matchup. Like
really
they're so much better than what Philly's throwing out there tonight. But I do think I don't know
they're
if
a
it's
bit of a
boredom, but they're not interested in these games. You can tell. You could just see it at the beginning of the game where there was a few sloppy turnovers. They were giving up offensive rebounds.
yeah.
They were, only time to play with
I mean,
force or speed
they
is when
turned
they were on
Jose
offense.
Alvarado into like fucking Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Like I feel bad for the Pelicans. Not as bad as I feel for Dallas fans, but for those few Pelican fans that exist in this world, like all 12 of them, like
That's actually it should be a good team, if everyone was
Murray's
healthy.
hurt. He's probably
Yeah.
never going to be the same. That's his second serious injury. Zion just hangs out at like McDonald's all day, just like eating chicken nuggets and calling strippers. Um, they got to trade Brandon Ingram, I think, because you see what Trey Murphy has done.
Yeah.
Um, Brandon Ingram's still a good player. This is the one
Oh,
season
yeah.
he's been hurt. Like if I'm a team, like I give up picks for him. That's a guy I'd invest in as my number 3 and my number 2. The guy can score. So like, if I'm them, I'm figuring out how to make that move because he doesn't want to play for you. You got a good replacement for him, and honestly, Jim, I would be seeing if whatever I can get for Zion and try to maybe reset this thing with Trey Murphy, because that's just ridiculous. The guy has played like 40% of his games in the NBA. Like, that's unbelievable, isn't it? He just doesn't play.
Yeah, either that or I'm just trying to convince everyone to shut it down because you know you lost DeJounte Murray. Maybe you just tell Williamson to take the rest of the season off somehow. I don't know how you do it, fake an injury, and you just try to, you tank for Cooper Flag. Like I think because your season's going nowhere, and the worst thing you can do is just kind of be a middling team in this draft where it's so top heavy. I mean, you've suffered through this shitty season. You might as well suffer through the whole thing. Um, I know you're not supposed to do that, but if I was in management, that's
I
what
wouldn't shut down Trey
I'd want to
Murphy though.
happen.
I think you want him playing as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
him alone isn't going to win you games. So,
No, it's not. It's not.
yeah.
All right. Well, we got Philly, and then the big one.
Yeah, so Philly, the Cavs, and the trade deadline all this week. The Cavs and the Celtics, they have interesting games coming up before the All-Star break. You have the Cavs, you have the Knicks, you have the New Dallas Mavericks. So, and the trade deadline. Obviously, the trade deadline's off to one hell of a start. Mike, I don't think there's ever been a bigger trade.
There hasn't been a bigger trade in my lifetime.
No.
This is the biggest trade of my life.
Yeah.
Here's my bold prediction on the Celtics. Celtics aren't going to lose a game until after the All-Star break. They're winning out.
Oh wow.
Number one. Number two, Daniel Tice is coming back to Boston.
I
Get
think they
ready,
could
folks.
lose tonight.
Get ready. Get ready for the Daniel Tice train. He's coming back. He's going to get playing time in a big moment, probably like a game 7 where he's going to foul somebody. It's going to cost us big time.
So you think that's a move? Is Daniel Tice?
I have a feeling. I just something's telling me that, like, let's have. I know we got 2 bigs on our bench, but with KP and the way Al looks, why not have one more? That's what's maybe Tillman's out the door, and maybe Tice doesn't play a minute all season, but it's like, maybe we want to have some. If there's one position on the floor that we should have a lot of depth at, it's probably center, because our top 2 guys, I don't know. We got question marks about both of them. One with injury and one with Al doesn't look very good right now. So
I get.
why not invest?
I guess I've always liked Tice, but to
There
me,
might be another big, but
it's not a big that's interesting me. It's either if you can get a wing, which is the hardest thing to get, I
Obviously.
know, or some type of scorer off the bench, because I feel like you're not going to have a big come in here that's going to step in and play over. Even if Al and KP went down, I don't see a big coming in here and stepping over playing either Cornette or Kata.
No, who's the guy the Celtics could take a look at, and they don't have to make a trade, and they could sign him on an NBA minimum. TJ Warren had a really great preseason. He's still playing good down in the G League. He might be a guy they want to look at.
I would just sign, if you're going to do that, sign Lonnie Walker.
Oh, I thought TJ Warren would be cheaper than Lonnie Walker as far as the tax and stuff, the luxury tax.
No, it's the same thing. Like you just might as well sign Lonnie Walker.
And you're going to do that.
Yeah. I think Warren, I know he had a decent preseason, but he's looked washed for a couple of years. Walker's actually looked like an NBA player when he's played over the last few seasons. So
yeah. We'll see. Is there a guy out there that you think, if you made a bold prediction, this is the guy coming to Boston?
No, I don't have one because it's so difficult to make a trade. I think we've exhausted the possibilities. Maybe Javonte Green. It's something like that. It's not going to be major or in any way. So,
all right. And once again, folks, Jimmy doesn't have anything prepared for the advice column. So, for those of you who like the advice column, you can just go fuck yourself, because Jimmy.
Well, what's your advice for Dallas fans?
My advice for Dallas fans. Here's my advice for Dallas fans. You go to ownership's mansion. You sit and you camp outside there. You protest. You let them know how you feel. All right? And then you stop going to the games. Stop going to those games. Stop supporting that team. That's what I say.
Yeah, you go from one shitbag owner and Jerry Jones, who doesn't really invest in your team, to now this. Can't be fun. Can't be fun at all.
No. All right. It's awful.
Before we go, we do have this announcement. This podcast going forward is going to be part of the Fan First Network.
Yeah, boy.
boy.
Fan first. We got a contract, bro.
So that might
We're gonna
mean
make so much money. Woo!
it really doesn't mean anything for you, the listener. Outside, there could be some ads and things like that, but
Be rich as fuck.
that's not true either. Um, we'll get pennies, if anything. But it's a great network. We're
Oh
excited to
no,
be a
you wait.
part of
We're gonna
it.
make it big time. We're gonna be as big as Gilbert Arenas soon.
We're
You
excited to
wait.
be a part of it, and it should be a lot of fun. All right, we'll talk to
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you to Fan First for reaching out. We're excited. I'll sign the thing that Jimmy needs me to sign. Can't wait.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye bye.